Before the invasion of Ukraine, there were signs of trouble ahead. Yet, Marnie Howlett says she didn't expect the Russian invasion to happen as fast as it did or to the extent that it did. The researcher from Saskatoon works at the University of Oxford in the UK as a lecturer in the Department of Politics and International Relations, and she joins me now. Hi, Marnie.
Hi there.
The entirety of your doctoral research was on Ukraine, geopolitics, and the dynamics in borderland areas. Can you tell me how stable Ukraine was prior to Russia's invasion?
I think we have to look back, if we're going to talk about stability, to 1991. So, there was a lot of instability in the region with the collapse of the Soviet Union. However, Ukraine was becoming a democracy since 1991 as an independent state. We must recognize that Russia has continued to try to infiltrate into politics and into the economy in the region. With this, we saw the 2004 Orange Revolution, as well as 2013 and 2014 with Euromaidan, as well as the annexation of Crimea, and then later occupation within the Donbass region. So while we saw these tensions, the country was flourishing and becoming more democratic. It was moving on that path, definitely. Also economically, we saw this as there was a desire at the grassroots and civil society to join the EU and NATO, as we've seen more in recent years, and perhaps arguably what has led to the conflict in the current day.
So how is what's happening today different from what happened with Crimea in 2013, 2014?
Well, first, they are both illegal occupations by an outside state on a sovereign territory, so that must be recognized. Beyond that, though, Crimea was the annexation of a small part of Ukraine's territory. Without going into the historical context, what we see now is a full invasion, a full-scale invasion across a whole state into the country. And so this is no longer about annexing a small part of the territory, but rather trying to take over Ukraine as a country.
Based on your research and what you know about borderlands, why do you think this invasion is happening?
I think it really speaks to the historical context. Russia being previously an empire, it was in control of Ukraine as well as the other Soviet republics. However, since 1991, like I mentioned, Ukraine has been an independent state. And over time, there is not only democratization happening within the country, but a desire to move towards EU and NATO, as well as just stronger European values at the grassroots level. With this, I think, and we can see it is a threat to Russia, having NATO or the EU next door to it, not in the military sense per se, but more so that the fact that it represents a loss of what once was Russia's empire.
You're from Saskatoon, but you've studied this country extensively. You've been there many times. You have Ukrainian heritage. How has this affected you personally?
Admittedly, it's quite a tough time. So as you say, I do have ancestral ties to the country. I have performed dancing across the country, as well as singing with a choir, volunteered in various capacities, as well as conducted 4 months of field work at the grassroots level. With this, I have many friends, many of whom are currently hiding in bomb shelters across the country. Some of my friends who live in borderland areas were amongst those who were first attacked. So while I'm in constant communication with them, I do know several of my friends who are fighting on the front lines right now. Others have been evacuated to various parts of the country. So it's quite heartbreaking. It's turned my world upside down. Personally, academically, it's been an emotional time, definitely.
What do Ukrainian people need from the rest of the world right now, both in Ukraine and for Ukrainians elsewhere?
Right now, I think the most that we can do is speak out in all ways that we can. So whether we pressure our governments, we attend rallies, we're writing petitions. Financially, we can support various NGOs and different organizations. Militarily, there are funds that we can send to the military, but I think pressure specifically, pushing towards no-fly zone, for example, doing all that we can to spread awareness, but also we need to think long-term of what Ukraine will need beyond this. There will be a refugee crisis. We see this already with many people evacuating the country. Canadians, Europeans need to be open to this, to be welcoming these people, whether this be through different types of humanitarian aid or just welcoming them into their countries.
Thank you so much for your time, Marnie.
Thank you very much.
Marnie Howlett is a researcher and lecturer in politics and international relations at Oxford University. She's originally from Saskatoon.